Very excited to be getting a return visit from this guy. He is a lifelong Phillies fan and a singer-songwriter whom I met through a mutual friend, thanks Eric, last year. Had him on our show last November, got to meet him in person down in Clearwater in March. And here he is back on Philly Pressbox Radio. We say hello once again to Chuck Brodsky. Hey, Chuck.
Hi, Chet. How are you?
Great. Thanks for doing this on relatively short notice. I really appreciate it. Well, Chuck, as you know, I texted you about doing this because you had quite the memorable weekend up in Cooperstown, the site of the 2025 Baseball Hall of Fame inductions. You were there in connection with Dick Allen's induction and got to do something really cool, which we will talk about in just a bit. But first of all, what was it about Richard Anthony Allen that made him your childhood hero, as you called him?
Well, I think as a little kid, I instinctively understood that he was being treated unfairly, and it was because of his race. It took being an adult and having a chance to really read up about him to fully understand this. But like I said, instinctively as a little kid, I knew that things weren't fair. And, he was such a great player, and the fans would boo him. So it just didn't make any sense as a little kid.
Yeah. Now, you were too young, I'm pretty sure, to remember the Phil's 1964 collapse, but I'm sure your wonderful father, Frank, told you plenty about it over the ensuing years. Am I right?
That's for sure. And I actually have a couple of World Series tickets from 1964 that were printed in vain.
There's your dad. So, yeah, you did have tickets for because they did print them, as you said. And, of course, it didn't happen because the Phils blew that 6.5 game lead with 12 to play. Boy, I could only imagine the frustration of your dad and my father and, dads everywhere who remember that so vividly.
Yeah, I've heard people from that generation talk about it. Like you mentioned, I was a little too young to know what was going on at the time, but just a couple years later, I was aware of the collapse.
Well, last weekend, let's get to something more positive. As I know from our conversation last fall, you have been to and performed at the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown on multiple occasions, but how did it come to happen that you would be performing your song about Dick Allen at Saturday's Phillies celebration for that legendary slugger?
Well, the Phillies reached out to me and invited me to sing my song Letters in the Dirt about Dick Allen and about my childhood observations of him being booed and writing Boo in the Dirt. The Phillies invited me to sing that at the party that they had in Cooperstown in honor of Dick Allen's induction to the Hall of Fame. So it was a fantastic party. There were a lot of former players there. The Phillies ownership was there. And the Allen family was there, and some of them even sat at the same table that I sat at. So it was wonderful to be included in such a thing, to get to participate.
Yeah, and by the way, Chuck, our mutual friend Jason Stark, himself a Hall of Famer, mentioned you yesterday on Mike Missinelli's radio show in Philadelphia and said people really did enjoy seeing and hearing you perform on Saturday. Many folks wiping away tears as you sang that song, Letters in the Dirt. Did you notice the audience reaction while you were there singing?
Oh, for sure. I was looking into the eyes of some of the ball players that I grew up watching as a kid, and also looking at the Allen family as I sang, and I could see the reactions. I could hear the reactions. And by the way, Jason was instrumental in Phillies reaching out to me. It was Jason who first contacted them and suggested that maybe they'd want to invite me to sing the song.
Well, we've talked about it. So how about I play a little bit of that performance from last Saturday? As you noted on Facebook, this is part of a cell phone recording. There's going to be a better, higher quality one coming in the days ahead. But here's a little bit of your performance on Saturday.
Me and you, we never booed Richie Allen. I never understood why people did. He had a homer every time he stepped up to the plate. That's what I remember as a kid. Richie in the field out there by first base. Target us some mighty foul words. With his shoes and scrawl between the pitches. Oh, great big letters in the dirt. Philly fans, they've been known to get nasty. When Joe must go, run him out of town. I saw Santa get hit by a snowball, and then get hit again when he was down. Me and you, we never proved Christianity. Even if he did sometimes strike out. I was too young to read the papers, to know what all that booing was about.
Wow. Chuck, that was great. I really enjoyed that. And, you know, the whole video is on your Facebook page. And as you noted in the video that you've posted, you did get to meet Dick Allen 25 or 30 years ago. Tell us about that meeting.
Well, I was invited by the Hall of Fame to do a concert there, one of 3 that I've done over the years. This was the first time. And the director of research at the time, a man by the name of Tim Wiles, let me know that Dick Allen was in town, and suggested he'd probably be staying at the Otesaga Hotel, and thought it might be a good idea for me to drive over there and see if I could leave a copy of the CD with the song on it at the front desk. So I did that. But when I walked in the lobby door, there was Dick Allen in the lobby. So I waited for him to finish the conversation he was in the middle of. And I walked over to him, introduced myself, and told him how I'd grown up watching him play in Philadelphia and that he's my favorite player of all time. And I handed him the CD.
Very cool. And was he, you know, happy about that?
Oh, it was amazing, actually. I looked up at him in time to see a tear roll down his cheek.
That's awesome. Hey, did you stay for the entire weekend up at Cooperstown, including Sunday's induction ceremony?
No, because I was flown to Cooperstown by a friend with a private plane, and he wanted to go to Fenway Park in Boston for a Sunday afternoon game against the Dodgers. So that's what we did. We got up early in the morning on Sunday. We flew to Boston, went to the game, and then afterwards they flew me back to Asheville, North Carolina.
Very cool. And you've probably seen it, but Dick Allen's widow, Willa, gave a really nice, touching, heartfelt induction speech for her late husband. So that was great to see. Chuck, anything else stand out from the time that you were in Cooperstown Saturday and early Sunday?
Just the love for Dick Allen and the love for the other players that were enshrined as well. You could feel it.
Well, while I have you, Chuck, although you live down in North Carolina these days, I know you still keep tabs on the current Phillies. They just got themselves a premier closer yesterday. They added an outfield bat today, Harrison Bader from the Twins. What is your take on this year's Phillies heading into the final 2 months of the season?
It's hard to say. I mean, they've addressed a couple of needs. I wasn't aware of the Harrison Bader trade.
Yeah, it just happened.
I'm thrilled about the pickup for the bullpen. We really needed that. If the guys can show some plate discipline and the bullpen holds up, I think they have a chance. I mean, you know, as long as they qualify for the postseason and they go into it riding 2 or 3 hot pitchers, they'll be okay.
Yeah, get hot in September and, you know, hope for the best. Hey, folks, check out Chuck Brodsky's website, chuckbrodsky.com, which is, you know, very convenient. Find out what he's got going on, his music, some concerts that he has on the schedule this fall. And boy, an all-around great guy. And thank you so much for doing this, Chuck. Really appreciate it. And go Phils.
Chet, thanks you for having me, and absolutely go Phils.